Yo, it's your boy Dctree, and this is Dctree-Nation, the channel on YouTube that covers hoops and heroes. And today we're talking hoops. We're talking about San Antonio Spurs, y'all. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Not really, but it is time for that rodeo road trip, okay, guys? A 7-game road trip this year, so I figured I'd make a prediction video about what they're going to do. I'm cautiously optimistic about this road trip, and I get into my exact predictions later. Whatever the outcome is, though, I just want the Spurs to play hard. They have to play hard, man. I mean, they got to play Bruce Lee hard. They have to play Incredible Hulk hard. And then they got to take it another level and go Robert Pattinson's Batman hard. Maybe not that hard. Hard, but not that hard. I don't want anyone to end up in prison. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is the Spurs have to take these teams seriously, because not all of them are great teams, but they can easily kick our butts. They got speedy guards, and they have to take this seriously and play hard, just like they played hard against the Clippers and against the Lakers. They got to keep that up. But before I get too deep into it, if you like my content, please sub to the channel. Okay, to start this video off, the homer in me is looking at the schedule and really feels like the Spurs could possibly go 7-0, and I really want to make that my prediction. Like, the little kid in me wants to make that the prediction, but I just know better with the injuries, and then the fact that the Spurs have been a little inconsistent here and there, that they're not going to go 7-0. Now, if they do, I will be glad to be wrong, trust me. But I'm going to try to remain level-headed when making these predictions, okay? The first team the Spurs are going to play are the Hawks, okay? Now, the Hawks are is a team that's under 500, and the Spurs should be able to take care of them. But what worries me is, what worries everyone, Trae Young. If Trae Young gets loose like Steph Curry did the other night, it could prove, a problem for the Spurs. You can find themselves in a hole early. They just have to keep up the defensive intensity and not let them get going from 3. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully Derek White will return. He can help Murray on the defensive end to try to contain this guy. And, I think they're going to pull out the win against the Hawks. The next game the Spurs are going to have is on Valentine's Day. It's going to be against LaMelo. I haven't really seen much of LaMelo outside of highlights on ESPN. The hype is real, but I know he does have skill. So I'm curious how the Spurs are going to guard him, how they're going to play him. He has had some games where he's inconsistent, so hopefully he's a little inconsistent that night. But we really don't know, because we haven't played. I don't believe we played the Hornets yet this year. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is our first time playing them in the regular season. So I don't remember seeing a lot of LaMelo. But again, another speedy guard that can get hot from outside, that can get people involved. You got to contain them. You got to contain them. And hopefully our big men come to play, Eubanks, Pirtle, and they protect the rim a little bit better. And that help our perimeter guys as well. But I'm going to go out on the limb and say we get this win as well, because the Hornets, again, are a pretty subpar team, in the Western Conference. They're within the scope of the playoffs, but they're kind of in and out above 500. So I'm going to say the Spurs get this win as well. All right, next up, the Spurs play the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, obviously is a subpar team, but, they have a unique strength that the Spurs can benefit from, hopefully, come the trade deadline. They are a really big team. They got a lot of big men. They got a lot of size. And when I think about Pirtle and Eubanks, and I think about Luka being in Austin, and I think about Aldridge, his status still up in the air, I get nervous against this team, man. They got Drummond, they got other big players. If those guys go off and they start to bully us in the middle, may not be much we can do. So I got a feeling the Spurs are going to win 2 in a row and then drop one against the Cavs, which is ridiculous. And I hope I'm completely wrong, but I could just see them laying an egg against the Cavs. I just got a weird feeling about the Cavs. I don't know if Kevin Love is hurt or he's playing. I probably should have looked that up before this video, but I don't care about the Cavs enough to do that. No one does. But I get the feeling they're going to, turn it on against us, and we might lay an egg that night. I hope I'm wrong. The next game the Spurs play is against the New York Knicks. Obviously, it's the Knicks, so I'm usually pretty confident going up against those guys. But they did get Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose has kind of been a semi-thorn in our sides. You get what I'm saying? He tends to have good games against us. He still has enough speed that gives us problems. So I'm curious to see, again, not to sound like a broken record, if the Spurs, Murray, White, Lonnie maybe, can help contain some of these speedy guards. If we can contain them and, just make things difficult for them, we can easily win these games, because it's the guards that gives us problems. This will be very different from the Cavs game. I don't think the Knicks have that much size to compete against the Spurs, but the Spurs are a pretty small team these days, okay? But I'm confident we'll get that win against the Knicks. The Pacers are another team that I kind of worry about. Like, although they're not all that great on paper, especially after Oladipo's gone, they still have a couple players that gives us issues, that could give us issues. So I'm curious to see how the Spurs do against them. I'm gonna go ahead and say we win this game, but I can easily see us losing this game. Okay, we probably get a little lackadaisical, probably pick up that win against the Knicks, and then kind of lay an egg with this one. I'm hoping we can keep that focus and hopefully get some players back, and hopefully Derek White is in the rotation a little bit more and we can get this W. Last but not least, we are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I have no idea, no clue why this team gives us so much trouble. Like, I do not know, man. For some reason, this team shoots like 30% from 3 against everyone else, and then they see us and they shooting 48, 49, 50% from 3. So, man, they're a very young, scrappy team, very long, very athletic. So I say, once again, we're gonna lose against the Thunder. Okay, that's my prediction, man. Especially if we don't have our players back, LMA. If Derek White is sitting out a bit, if Lonnie is still kind of shaky with his left hand or his stomach or whatever's happening to him these last few games, I have to give it to the Thunder, man. Overall, I'll be honest, I really don't know a whole lot about these Eastern teams. I spend so much time really studying the major teams, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Western Conference teams that we're going to see a lot of, that I really haven't been keeping up with, the weaker teams that we're going to play on this rodeo road trip. Okay, so that could be a blessing or a curse. We can't take these teams for granted. And like I said, there's a slight possibility we could go 7-0, but whether my predictions are correct or wrong, I think overall we're still going to go 5-2. I strongly believe that we're going to go 5-2. There's going to be a couple losses somewhere in the equation, and hopefully it's no more than those losses. You get what I'm saying? Cautiously optimistic. The Spurs need to take care of business. Hopefully we get, some players back from injury, and we see what this team can do on the road, which their road record, if I remember correctly, has been better than their home record. So again, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we can pull this out. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for kicking it with me. Just a really quick video, not very analytical, just me kind of sharing my thoughts on the coming process. I look forward to watching these games and learning more about these teams and the players on these teams. Okay, let me know in the comment section what your prediction is, and thanks again for kicking it with me. Catch you in the next one. Peace.